For me, it was a big learning that I didn't have to find God elsewhere outside of my house, but God is always within me. So my prayer journey just took another leap, and I was standing on my leap of faith, and I started manifesting. I haven't openly shared this with anyone other than family, but I used to be in my prayer room praying, and I would manifest healing oil coming out of my hands, both of my hands. I was like, initially, I was like, what is this? And then, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Everyday Alchemist podcast, a podcast where we remind you to tap into the alchemist inside of you, because we all are alchemists, we all are magical beings, and we have the ability to change our pain into purpose, our fear into faith. And today I just wanted to do a very quick episode. We've actually been given a warning that there's a storm coming to New Zealand this weekend. So I think everyone is sort of trying to get prepared. We're pretty well prepared. It doesn't actually look that bad outside, but who knows how things will change. So we are all being vigilant. And if you are seeing this, then we probably did survive. So it's all good news. So the episode that I wanted to do today was based on the power of prayer and miracles. So this week I had my beautiful friend Anna pop over with her little baby who I met for the very first time, baby Lottie, and she's just gorgeous. And my beautiful friend Anna and I were talking, sitting down and just reminiscing and talking. And Anna was asking me about my journey with Nishaya, and talking about how things had happened. And after Anna left, it kind of made me think about how far I've actually come on this journey. It has been a journey. It has been a very interesting, hard journey with many, many blessings. I remember that, I used to hear people say that most often when you can get to the end and say that your adversity was the biggest blessing for you, then you've healed a part of you and you've sort of graduated. I don't want to use the word graduated because I'm still in my 40s. I have a long way to go, but I can quite happily say that I am in a place where I am at peace with life. And I think inner peace is a very big part of a human journey, because without peace, if you've got chaos and chaotic energy around you and you are shaky about life, it's not a good way of living. So my peace didn't come straight away. I know we've got some new subscribers, so I thought I'll quickly just talk about a little bit about my journey if you haven't heard it yet. For those who don't know, I am a mother of a special needs child, Nishaya. Now, Nishaya was diagnosed at the age of 3 years old. That's when we officially found out that Nishaya has Rett syndrome. Rett syndrome is a genetic disorder where one of her genes is mutated, and it neurologically affects her too, where she's non-mobile and non-verbal. So Nishaya was born normal. She was developing normally, but at about 7, 8 months, I had a feeling that something wasn't quite right. I think I started noticing that Nishaya was regressing a little bit, where she was losing some of her skills. I remember that intuition was quite strong. And when I spoke to other people about it, I was sort of told that because I'm a first-time mom, I was thinking too much into it and not to worry too much and things will happen. But when her first birthday came, I kind of was fairly sure that something wasn't quite right. So I asked my auntie, who's a GP, she came to Nishaya's birthday. I said, could you just observe Nishaya and see maybe if you could recommend something? So before she left, she said, why don't we just get her seen by a couple of, actually at that time, a specialist, and see what they say. So we were sent to one of the top neurologists in New Zealand, Auckland, and this white old guy was really, really nice and friendly. And he was really warm. I remember that, because it's a very scary thing to start taking your child to all these specialists. But anyway, so we saw him over a period of maybe 6 months, and he said eventually that Nisha was just globally delayed. And, some kids are globally delayed and they eventually catch up, so not to worry too much. but keep an eye on it. So, long story short, 3 years later, we eventually made it to a doctor who was able to diagnose Nisha, not straight away, but they did a blood test, and after the blood test results, I think came in 3 months after that, and we were officially told that Nisha, she has a rare syndrome, and we were given the um, we were told that she will not lead a normal life. Now, so if you can imagine, it's hard for any parents to hear that. And so anyway, all that happened. I believe that from the time, and maybe before that as well, but I am very aware from the time that this diagnosis came, I have been, and we have been really greatly looked after by the angels and God. So my story, one of my first miracles that came was, so on the day Nisha got diagnosed, my parents and my husband Nick, we went together, and then after the appointment, my parents dropped us off, and we were home. And I remember I was really upset, and my brother-in-law had come over to console Nick and talk to her, man to man. While they were talking, I snuck up to my mum's house because I was really upset. I just needed to be around my mum. And my mum, I kept saying to my mum, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to go on. And she just kept saying, believe in God, believe in God, believe in God. And so anyway, that night, so I left mum's, came home, didn't shower, gave her dinner, and gave her a shower and everything. And then when it was time to put her into bed, I remember I was still crying, so I put her in bed, and then I had a shower, got into bed, and I remember the last thing I did that night as I was crying and praying. I was looking up at the ceiling and I said to God, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to go on. And if you are real, show me. Show me that you're real, because I need you. So anyway, at some point during the night, I fell asleep crying. The next morning we woke up, got in a shower, showered, and we were in the kitchen having breakfast. Someone's at the door. 1 second. Okay, we're back. It was the courier guy. So anyway, so the next morning we were in the kitchen and I was making breakfast and my phone rang. So I went to pick up my phone and it was Judy. Now, Judy was a lady that I worked with at Yellow Pages. So, okay, just a little bit of a background. So I was working for ASB Bank in the lending department. I was there for 5 years. I was really happy, enjoying my work. My sister was working there too, but in a different department. It was like hanging out with friends. We had such a beautiful team, and everything was perfect. I got to probably the end of my, progression in the team, and there was a role going up in HR where I could potentially go and work in the city, and I went for the interview and I got the job. Now I was really happy initially, but then a couple of weeks prior to me getting, leaving my current role and going into this HR team, I had this really sickening feeling in my stomach. I did not want to go and work there. So I remember talking to Nick, and Nick said, if you're not happy, talk to your manager. So I spoke to my manager, and she said, unfortunately, there was nothing they could do about it because I had already taken up the role, signed the agreement, and, it was just too late. So I was like, okay. So anyway, I went there, and after being there for about a month, it was not for me. I just didn't like the environment. I just didn't like it was just, yeah, it was just not for me. So anyway, I was really unhappy, and Nick said to me, if you're so unhappy, why don't you quit? My husband's very supportive in that way. So, and we didn't have any share, so we didn't really have that much. We were married, and Nick was earning well, and so he said, quit and look for something else. So I think it was 2 or 3 months I didn't have a job, and then eventually I got a job at Yellow Pages, which I really enjoyed. The people were lovely, and it was like kind of being back sort of in my previous ASV role where the team was really really cool. So anyway, within a month of being there, I actually got pregnant. And Judy was my team trainer, and Judy had shared with me that, she couldn't get pregnant for I think it was 10 years. And as soon as I got pregnant, a couple of months later, Judy got pregnant. There was a running joke at Yellow Pages that there was something in the water because after me, so many other people got pregnant. Anyway, sorry. So anyway, that day, coming to the day after Nisha got diagnosed, my phone rings. It was Judy. I pick up the phone and I'm like, hi, Judy, because we hadn't spoken that many times while I was, on maternity. She was on maternity. She had gone back to work because it was 3 years after Nisha was born. Um, and she said to me, Nelma, what's going on? And I said, what do you mean? She said to me, God spoke to me and said to call you. Honestly, I collapsed on the floor. Like I went down on my knees and I was like, oh my God, Judy, I prayed to God last night to say, if you are real, show me that you're real. And just by hearing those words come out of Judy's mouth that God spoke to her, I actually didn't realize that at that point, Judy was the pastor of a church and, she could hear God's voice. So if you go to church, you probably know that sometimes pastors can hear God's voice or they get like, an intuition. I don't know if they call it an intuition, but that's what it is. It's a message. So I told Judy what was happening. But in that point, it gave me so much hope because I knew I wasn't alone. I knew that God was listening to me. So anyway, Judy called, sorry, we spoke, and then Judy came over to see me in the show and came and prayed over Nishai and I. And from there, we started going to church. Now, we went to church for, I think, almost a year. And I love my church days because it really taught me how to pray and stand on the word of God and how to stand in my faith. While I was at church, I really totally got into just my belief of, that God is so real and that God is always with us. So I remember there was a movie that came out. It was called The War Room. Now that's one of my favorite movies, and I watched it probably 3, 4 times over the years. If you haven't watched it, I really highly recommend you to watch it. It actually is, I don't want to spoil it, but it is about an older lady teaching a younger one. This young lady was going through some issues in a relationship. She teaches her how to stand on the word of God and how to pray. And I did that. I came out of the movie. The next day, I created a prayer room. I mean, I always had a prayer room. We grew up in a Hindu household. We all have our sacred place. But for me, I created a prayer war room where I put up all the scriptures from, that really like, if God is for us, who can be against us? I am the head, not the tail. And, all this, and by his stripes and Shai is healed. Like I had all these beautiful scriptures that I had handwritten and stuck on my wall. And now every day I was in there in the morning, during the day, in the afternoon when Nisha was taking a nap, I was in there on my knees praying, 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 standing on the word of God. At one point, at some point, we stopped going to church because I think religion is it creates a lot of fear as well. And somewhere in Nick and my heart, we started feeling a lot of fear-based teaching as well. Like, don't watch this, don't do that, don't do that. And I still stand by those things because I do realize that that energy leaks. And sometimes when you are watching something, your energy is connecting with it. So I understand that now better than what I did back then. But there was a lot of fear-based things like, don't pray, don't go here, don't go. Because my parents were still Hindu at that time. Nick and Shai and I got baptized. And I think we did it because we loved our pastors were amazing. They were so supportive. But at the same time, Nick and I kind of started saying, at the end of the day, Jesus was loving. Jesus never, he never said, oh, you're a Hindu or you're this skin color or you believe in this, I'm not going to heal you. For Jesus, everyone was the same. So till this day, I do my Lord's Prayer. I connect with Jesus on a different way through my healing work. But don't I don't believe for a second that Jesus tells you not to pray to anyone else because Jesus himself went to India. If you look at the lost history, there is a passage that was taken out, but Jesus did travel to India and he got a lot of learning through India. So for me, it was a big learning that I didn't have to find God elsewhere outside of my house, but God is always within me. So my prayer journey just took another leap, and I was standing on my leap of faith, and I started manifesting. I haven't openly shared this with anyone other than family, but I used to be in my prayer room praying, and I would manifest healing oil coming out of my hands, both of my hands. Initially, I was like, what is this? And then, you know how oil has this like a thick consistency? it was like oil coming out of my hands. I started manifesting, and I do still till this day. I manifest gold glitter or silver glitter coming out of my pores, my skin, when I pray, because I have always asked God that I will meet you in your place, but I need you to meet me halfway as well. I need to see my prayers come and like to be answered, not by my according to what I want, but according to what is for our highest good. So till this day, when I pray, I see a lot of miracles. I see a lot of manifestation of God's blessings. I have seen so many times angels. I don't see them in a human form. I am clairvoyant, but I see them as sparkles. I see them as lights. I see them as orbs. I yeah, and I am clairsentient as well, where I actually feel a lot of energy. So when I'm praying, I have a lot of energy moving through me. I get tears just falling out of my eyes, especially if I go, like if I'm listening to some worship songs, even like, to this day, like if I go to someone's house or a prayer or something, like a prayer meeting, when they sing like worship songs, I feel a lot of energy moving through me. So I know the power in prayer. One thing I have always done is my faith has always been bigger than my fear. Because when you get given the diagnosis that your child will never live a normal life, it crushes you, a piece of you dies. But I can quite happily and honestly, with my hand on my heart, say that I am in a better place today. I have so much peace. And I think one of the greatest gifts that God gives you is the gift of peace. When you have peace in your life, you understand that God never makes a mistake. God is not a punishing God. God doesn't punish you. I think people look at karma in a way where they think that, oh, well, you did something bad, so you have to be punished. I don't think it is that. From my understanding, I have been in the spiritual world for about 15 years now, and I don't claim to know everything. Don't claim to believe that I don't for one second say that I know everything, but I can only go by my own experience. And I truly, truly believe, and I know it's a big belief in the spiritual world as well, that we all choose our own life before we come from heaven or wherever we come from, wherever our soul comes from. We always sit down with a spiritual team of guides, um, and we talk about what we want to experience in this life. Just as you die, you go through a life review to see how things progressed, how things were done while you were here. I also believe that at the beginning of your journey, you also choose your life. And I also believe that we choose our parents, we choose who we will marry, and we all are, we all come in we all have our spiritual families, and it is said that we all reincarnate with our spiritual families, and we take on different roles to help each other's souls um, evolve. So I do believe that Nishaya chose Nick and I to be her parents, and I do know that she chose the body she is in at the moment. From a human perspective, it might look broken, like she has a broken body that doesn't work fully. But I know for a fact that Nishaya is a very high evolved soul who has chosen this journey to teach us about unconditional love. She is here to teach us about she's here to help Mother Gaia as well. That's another story, but yes, Nishaya has helped Mother Gaia's energy. And she's been one of those helpers that has helped us, push us from 3D to 5D. And I got to a point where I stopped praying for her healing because I came to the realization that Nishaya was perfect as she is. If she has chosen this journey to live from the inside out, who am I to try and change her and heal her? So that's where my peace comes from, because I'm here to support Nishaya on this journey. Nick and I are here to be the best parents we can be, to protect her, to help her as much as we can. to have an amazing life and according to how she needs to live, not from my standard or not from society's standard, but the way she needs to live and um, progress in her soul progression. I know that it is very hard for people to grasp, some people to grasp what I'm saying, because it just humanly probably doesn't make sense. How can you be okay with your child being the way she is? But I think I am at that place where I can see beyond the human reasoning of why things happen. I can see it for what it is. I can see it from a higher perspective. And I do believe these children are a blessing to our world. If you have, if you ever are close to a child that has special needs, they just are very warm and they have a very different kind of energy. And these kids are so clever. They don't communicate with words, they communicate with energy. And they are telepathically able to speak to other human beings. They are able to astral travel out of their bodies. They see beyond the veil. They can see things, beings. And these are very highly evolved souls that choose these bodies to come into for their own soul progression, but also to help the people around them. Now, the babies that are being born in the last couple of years, especially, well, 2011 onwards, kids are, in 2011 and onwards, are crystal children. They are here and they were here at that time and are here to help the energy of the earth come to a higher frequency. The babies that are born as of recently, they are high vibrational children that have come. And they've come here to help Mother Gaia's energy to get her to the next stage as well. As we're evolving, Mother Gaia is evolving as well. So going back to prayer and miracles, I have seen so many miracles. So for some people, miracles might be like a big, extravagant thing that takes place. But if you come from a place of where you look at miracles every single day, miracles don't have to be loud. Miracles can they can manifest into small things that brings you peace. I have had, Nishaya was in ICU one time and I just went on my knees and I said, God, you need to act now. You need to, because I knew what was happening on an energetic level, but as a human being, you have to let the medical team do what they need to do. And obviously, Nishaya's safety always comes first. So I remember praying that prayer, and within half an hour, things shifted and she didn't have to go into ICU. And my prayer, the days I am really like beyond, I can't do anymore, I surrender. I don't know why as human beings we can't just surrender initially, because I think we just have to do our human thing and intervene, which just prolongs things. But I have seen the power of surrender as well. When you surrender and say, God, you are bigger than this thing that's happening right now. It's so minute compared to how big you are and how big your power, how powerful you really are. So there's power in surrender as well. I believe in the power of going on your knees and praying. To this day, if there's something happening, I pray every single day, every morning, every night, and in between. I like to be connected to God. I like to do my meditation. That's how I connect with God as well. I like my scripting. I like doing affirmations. Everything I can do to stay in this high vibration, to be connected to God. I don't think God is ever separate from us. Sometimes us as human beings, we can drift away because as human beings, we experience so many things, so many emotions. But I truly believe in the power of being on your knees and making God bigger than you. Nick and I believe in the Bible. It does say if two or three gather in my name, then it is done by my Father in heaven. So I learned that in church. And if there's something happening with Nishaya, if there's something happening where it's beyond our control in our normal, day-to-day stuff or work or, whatever it may be, Nick and I get on our knees and we pray. And I have seen the power in that when you humble yourself before God. Um, It's amazing what miracles can come through. I remember, so when we stopped going to church, I used to go to the Buddhist temple and I saw God there. I experienced God there through the monks, through the kindness. And that's a miracle as well. You know, when the kindness that pours through these people, it's just amazing. Nisha and I used to go all the time. We lived on the road as one of as the Buddhist temple. We were on one end and the Buddhist temple was on the other. So I used to put Nisha in a stroller and walk over to the temple, to the point where the monks got to know us. And one day I went there and the monk was waiting for us. He knew I would come one day, and they had a bracelet ready for Nishaya. And when we went, they blessed the bracelet, blessed Nishaya. And again, you know, I found God inside a Buddhist temple. And it was just the most serene, amazing, beautiful feeling. Then my parents held a prayer at a community hall. You know, we saw God manifest, God is Durga manifest and, you know, do so many miracles. We used to come home from the prayer and there would be stuff happening at the house, you know, like all these beautiful things would manifest, like sindoor, like red powder that we use in our prayers and stuff. So there is power in prayer. It's about connecting. It's about finding that peace in the quietness and, you know, connecting with God. So I remember one time we were supposed to take Nishane for a surgery, and it was a big surgery. And Nick and I were not exactly sure if we wanted to do the surgery for Nishane, but we got to a point and we said, you know, we surrender, God. If this is what it needs to be done, then we're going with faith. I'm very close to my angels as well. I said, you know, just show me along the way that you're here. And if it's not meant to happen, don't let it happen. So I remember as we were leaving, so Nick, Nisha, and I had to check in. Well, Nisha and I had to check in the night prior to the surgery that was being done the next morning. As I came to close the back door, ensure that it was all locked, by my front door inside the house, I found this beautiful white feather. So I was like, okay, angels, I see you. I know you're with me. Then, you know, there was this overwhelming peace over me, Nick, and Nisha the whole time as we were entering, no, so on the motorway, we kept seeing the angel numbers, 111, 333, 999, 666, and we saw the whole sequence before we actually got to the hospital. That was miracle number two. Miracle number three was as now we are in the car park to enter the hospital. So we're in the hospital, now going into the car park. There was a car in front of us, and the number plate was bless you. And I looked at Nick and I said, they really are with us. They are really showing me and showing us that they're with us, because my prayer is always, God, show me you are with me, show me. And I think our words are so powerful that they, you know, they show me that they're around us. Anyway, we got there, we checked in, and there was just this overwhelming peace because we were so scared about the whole thing. You know, it's not easy going through anything like that, and it was a huge operation surgery that she was supposed to have. Anyway, we prayed, we surrendered, and they don't normally let the dad stay, but I snuck Nick's t-shirt and stuff in there in my bag because I was like, you know what, angels, I really need Nick to be around us. Um, so oh yeah, so I remember when we checked, so they actually, when we did the check-in, then they said, you guys might as well go home and, you know, eat something and then come back by 9 o'clock again. So, but we spent the whole afternoon there, and one of the nurses said, what are you guys going to do sitting here? So you might as well go home. So we came back home. We gave, you know, we ate, and I gave Michelle another shower, and we did that's when I snuck Nick's t-shirt and jumper and all that stuff in my bag. And as we were driving on the motorway back to the hospital, I said to Nick, oh, wouldn't it be beautiful if they let you stay? And Nick was like, but I don't have any clothes. I didn't say anything. I was like, okay, let's see how this plays out. So as we went back to the hospital, went back into the room. Now we were sharing a room with another family, and the boy was supposed to have his surgery the next day as well. And his dad was staying, and I was staying, and I didn't feel comfortable being in the room with another man. So I said to one of the nurses, I said, is it possible to go to get us another room where it's just Nishai and I? I said, I don't feel comfortable being in the room with the dad, with this other boy's dad. And she said to me, let me see what I can do. So half an hour later, she comes back, she goes, I got you a room. So she got me, Nishai and Nick out. And as she was putting, you know, settling us in our room, I said, can I ask you a favor? She said, what is it? I said, will you allow my husband to stay? I said, I'm just, it is a big deal for us what's about to happen tomorrow morning. Is it okay if Nick stays? And she looked at me and she said, you know what? We normally don't do this, but I'm going to let him stay. And Nick looked at me and he goes, I don't have any clothes. I said, don't you worry. I have clothes in my bag. So we saw so many miracles leading up to this day, and then the next day, again, we had to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning because Nisha's surgery was early in the morning. I think it was about 8:30. And I got up, I prayed, I showered there, I prayed, and I said, God, whatever happens, I surrender Nisha to you. If it's meant to happen, it'll happen. Half an hour before the surgery, we get told the surgeon that was supposed to do the surgery comes up and says, have you guys been told? And I said, told what? He said, it's not going to happen because we don't have enough ICU beds. Oh my God. I was like bubbling on the inside. I was so happy because I knew in that moment that God, it was not the right timing for Nishaya to have the surgery. And we packed up. Nick, Nishaya, and I had breakfast somewhere and we came home. And honestly, like from the moment we left home to the moment we came home again without the surgery, I just had this overwhelming feeling of peace over me. And the signs were there. Yeah, it was just the most amazing. It just gives me goosebumps thinking about it because I remember how it was almost like we were put in a cocoon and everything was just kind of like playing out. Yeah, it was just amazing. So that is the power of prayer. When you ask, you believe that it is, you ask and you believe that it will happen in the way it's meant to happen. We don't put our conditions. We just surrender to God and we say, I always say, God, let this or something better happen because we don't want the human perception to block other blessings because sometimes we might ask, we'll say something small, but God might have something even bigger in place that he wants to give you. So why box God and ask for something that, from our tiny human brain when there could be something bigger for you? So that is the power of prayer. I still to this day, life is not perfect. Nishaya still has her conditions, but Nishaya is so much better than her diagnosis. She's just the most beautiful child. And now she's a teenager, and we're still learning along the way. Now we're learning how to parent a teenager because her needs have changed. And it is a beautiful journey. So, it was a good reflection for me to sit back and see how far we have come. And I am nothing without my prayers. The prayers I have prayed, I know there's an archangel as well, and I've spoken about this before. Archangel Sandalphon is an archangel, and he is the one that has his head in the sky and his feet grounded on earth, and he collects every single prayers that we pray, and he collects it and takes it to God's throne, and that's where prayers manifest. So don't ever think that your prayer isn't being heard, because every single prayer is being heard, and it happens, and your prayers get answered in divine timing, in divine ways where we can't even comprehend how it all works, but it all works. And you just have to have faith. But I have so much peace today, and my promise to God was, help us, God, so we can help other people. And now I'm in a position where I feel like I can help other people. I've done the work. I'm still doing the work. Every single day I am working on myself. I'm trying to be a better human being. I am spiritually growing so much. My gifts are opening more and more as well. So it's been a wonderful journey. It's been a beautiful journey, and it's just, some days I feel like it's just starting because I'm learning so much. And as the world is changing, our world is chaotic at the moment, but it's because we need to go through a clearing process and get to the next stage. So you just got to hang in there. I thought what I'll do today is, because we've been talking about God, angels, and ascended masters, Jesus, I will quickly pull a card and see. I will put this down and pull a card and see if there's a message if there's a message that wants to come through for people that are watching or listening on Spotify. So we ask God and angels if there's a message that everyone needs to hear. I'm going to pick the card. Okay, so I have this card. It's called Help and Healing. It is by Master Hilarion, and I had to laugh because just listen to what this says. This card is a sign of healing. Your divine healing power has awakened and you feel compelled to help others to heal. So that's what I've been talking about, how God, because we got the healing, I said to God, we'll help other people. So just as you've been healed, so too do you want others to enjoy health and vitality. You're supported in making life changes so that you can continue to heal yourself and others. Let go of any fears or restrictive thinking to fully open the miracles of healing. And this is Hilarion. He's also known as Saint Hilarion or Master Hilarion. So he is an ascended master. I don't know if you can see that. So this is a confirmation of what we've just been talking about, that he is a master of health and healing. And the card is signifying and saying that you received your healing and now it's time to heal other people. So there might be other people out there that are listening and they've done some inner work. Don't ever feel like you're not ready to help people, because even just by sharing your story, you are helping so many people. And that was my main reason for doing this podcast. When the angels kind of dropped it into me over and over again, that I needed to do this, I was kind of fighting it because I don't actually love public speaking. I don't like it. But I had to stand in my faith and sort of get out of my own way to do this. And now I think we're on to episode 35, 36. I'm not too sure. I've lost count. But we have had so many guests coming through to talk about their stories. We've had a cancer survivor. We've had a mother that's come and spoken about her, losing her child. We've had an air hostess who was having so many health issues. She left that and healed herself, and now she's healing other people. We have had the incredible Ken Honda, who's a multimillionaire, and he came and talked about finance, how we all can be abundant. Abundance comes in many forms. It comes through healing, being abundant in healing. It comes through having finance. We have had, my God, if you saw the last episode, we had Neve. She was sexually assaulted, and she had encountered angels during this encounter while she was drugged. And she forgave these people and she healed herself, and now she's healing other people. It's just incredible what stories can do. Stories makes our world go around. We learn from other people's stories. So this was my intention, to have this podcast so we can get guests on here to share their stories. We can get professional healers that can come and talk about their journeys, professional multimillionaires that can come and talk about their stories. We actually have incredible guests lined up. We've got at least 4 guests lined up in the coming months, who will come and share their healing journeys. They will come and teach us about angels. They will talk about money. I know everyone loves money, so we've got an incredible guest who's going to come and teach us about money and how to attract more money into your life. And my husband, Nick, is really big on wealth and the energetic frequencies around wealth. So he's going to be talking and starting a new series talking about money, and lining up people to come and talk about that kind of stuff as well, where people are successful just by doing hard work, yes, but also receiving just by being an alchemist. So we have some beautiful things lined up. And so I just wanted to come on and share a little bit about prayer and miracles, and just an update on where we're going as a podcast, having all these people come through. And I'm just so grateful that God and the angels have given me this platform to share our journey, because I know there's a lot of podcasts out there, and day by day there's new people coming as well. We have never paid for an audience. We have never advertised as such. We put it out on our social media. I'm not big on social media. I don't really try and go on social media too much anymore, because there's a lot of yeah, not nice. There's a lot of egoistic jealousy and negative energy around. So I'm really protecting my energy. I go in there for a little, I give myself time to do all the important stuff. I'm have my messenger open because that's how I communicate with my family, with my siblings and my parents. And yeah, so we have really wonderful things happening, and I'm so excited about it. The storm isn't storming at the moment, so this is really, really good. We did a prayer this morning that, everyone's protected and may the storm just go away into the ocean and then, drift away because we don't want anyone to suffer or have any damages. So anyway, just wanted to say thank you again for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and continue listening in and watching on YouTube and also on Spotify, because we will try and bring more and more people that will teach you, encourage you, and show you how to be an alchemist. So remember, if you believe it, then anything and everything is possible. Look after yourself. Lots of love. Take care.